It's time to blow this scene. 3, 2, 1, let's jam. My name is Randy Troy, and today we're going to talk about the live-action Cowboy Bebop. I want to thank Netflix for allowing me to preview the content before the premiere, and I am here to tell you today, spoiler-free, that it is worth the watch. That it's awesome. That it feels like Bebop. Now, the people that may have issues with this live-action adaptation, for the most part, I believe are going to be Bebop purists. Alright? Because what we have here is not a one-to-one adaptation, nor was it ever going to be. There's a lot of really great stuff within the series that will appeal to purists, that will appeal to even casual fans that remember certain things in the show. Like, oh, wait. Yeah, no, I remember that. Oh, that's straight out of the anime. That's great. Oh, look at this. But a lot of the time it does that, and then it twists it ever so slightly. Remixes it, right? You know, to keep everything in musical terms. I would very much consider this adaptation a remix. It's taking Bebop the anime, which I would say is like sort of a jazzy ballad, right? And it's not necessarily taking it to the club. It's not doing that. It improves upon some things, and then in some aspects, some things don't work. And I can't really get into specifics onto, what didn't work for me, because they're very specific to certain plot elements, towards the end of the season. I can talk vaguely about some things. Now, for the things that really do work, it's the core three, okay? Spike, Jet, and Faye are pitch perfect. The casting couldn't have been better. Think about who Spike was built off of, right? He was modeled off of actor Yusaku Matsuda. There's some John Cho vibes there, especially the way that they've modeled him in the series. Okay, for anybody that's saying, I don't know if this guy's Spike. He has great fight scenes. For those that are worried about that, there are some really excellent fight scenes throughout the series. And he smokes. There was a lot of debate whether or not Spike Spiegel was going to smoke based on some sort of rumor that Netflix doesn't want to, make smoking cool. Well, Spike smokes. So, for anybody, that's a One Piece fan watching this and, is worried about Sanji smoking, I'm pretty sure Sanji's going to end up smoking as well. My favorite member of the cast is Mustafa Shakir's Jet. I think that he is amazing, and it was no surprise when I found out that he was the first person cast, because you didn't need to look any further than this man. He's literally doing a impression of the English voice actor for Jet. So it's just nostalgia city every time that he's on screen, and I was eating it up. But the absolute scene stealer, who lights up the screen every time she's there, is Daniela Pineda. And the episodes that focus on her specifically are my favorites in this live-action adaptation. She is fantastic. And there are elements of Faye in there, but she's also bringing a lot of herself to it, a lot of her truth as a person to the character, which is what really brings it to life. One of the core things that the whole season gets right is the theme of Bebop, the theme of the characters. It understands that Spike, Jet, and Faye are broken people that are running away from their past, or in Faye's case, running away from her present towards her past. And over the course of the season, it shows these characters dealing with each of their internal struggles and their past, and I'm very excited to see how far they take it in subsequent seasons, because obviously anybody that's seen the series understands that while Cowboy Bebop is a spunky and quirky show, it can get very melancholy and leave the viewer with, an existential crisis by the end of it about either mortality or nostalgia or mono no aware, the aching feeling of impermanence, the sad beauty of watching time pass. That's what Cowboy Bebop does. Tonally, the show feels very much like you're watching a Robert Rodriguez movie, maybe even a Tarantino movie. It's very grindhousey, and that works when you go back and you actually consider that Asteroid Blue is the first episode of the anime, is sort of based on a little, there's elements of it that are drawn from El Mariachi by Robert Rodriguez, including the fact that the Asimov character is based off of Antonio Banderas. So there's that. And the filmmakers are well aware of this because in the first episode, some characters are actually drinking from a bottle of liquor called mariachi. So there's a fun nod there. The pilot itself, people will feel like they're watching Asteroid Blues again, for a certain point, and eventually it's going to remix. Vicious and Julia are actually much bigger parts of this series than I would say they ever were in the anime. Now, this is both cool and sometimes a detriment to the series. And I say that because early on in the season, they're trying to get their footing with this new material and everything, and they're keeping it all grounded within what we know of certain episodes like Ballad of Fallen Angels, which has been shown in a lot of promotional materials with the window and all of that. When I was watching the Vicious and Julia scenes, it felt like I was watching a different show. When I was watching Jet, Spike, and Faye, I was like, this is Bebop, let's go. When I got to those scenes, and that's no knock on, the actors playing Vicious or Julia. Elena Satine, I worked with her on the movie Payback a few years ago. Great person, and she does a great job as Julia, and she only gets better as the season progresses. So for anybody that goes into this and has a similar feeling to what I had watching this, that there was sort of a disconnect with the Vicious and Julia stuff, and maybe anything that wasn't Spike, Jet, and Faye, get to the end of the season, because like most series, they have to find their footing. Certain actors have to meet other actors and see the other sets and get the feel for what the world really is to understand what show they're in. Cinematography is a lot of fun. They get very creative, sometimes maybe too creative with a lot of the one-to-one recreations. They kind of put filters on it to make it seem like it's, an anime, and that kind of stuff sort of took me out personally. But some purists may find that cool. They may appreciate that more than I did. Every sort of nod to the anime, I've found very, fun. And I'm going to release a video of which episodes you should watch or, rewatch before or after the series, so that you can get an appreciation for what was adapted and what was remixed. The composer for the original anime returns, so everything sounds like Bebop. There are tracks lifted straight from the anime and placed into key positions that'll, really up the nostalgia factor for anybody that has seen the show. It's jazzy, it's beautiful. It's the best live-action adaptation that I've ever seen. And it's easy to say that when a lot of anime live-action adaptations have not, hit the mark. But this is one giant leap in the right direction for anime adaptations in the live-action realm. What makes this great is just the format, that this is actually a television show versus a movie. They're not compressing all 26 Cowboy Bebop episodes into 2 hours, 2.5 hours. This is for targeting new audiences, and I think that it's going to do that in spades. We should be able to support that and not gatekeep it, all right? For people that have seen the show, there are things that you're going to be able to appreciate in the same way that, you can go and see a Marvel movie or a DC superhero movie and understand which comics they pulled from and sort of remixed into making the film, and still walk out and say, hey, you know what? That felt like Batman, that felt like Spider-Man, that worked. Go into this with that same lens, that it's not going to recreate an entire episode like Ballad of Fallen Angels exactly the way that it is in the anime. There's going to be some changes. All I'm saying to everybody watching is go in with an open mind. Of course, this review has been more from the perspective of talking to people that have seen the series and want to know what to expect as a fan. And as a fan, I walked away from it thinking it was awesome, thinking it was very well done. There's one particular episode that I didn't think was all that great, and I can talk about that more when the series is out and everybody has watched it, and why, and the specific reasons why I didn't like that particular episode is going to be different than I think what other people might not like that particular episode for. But there are episodes that I have gone back and rewatched, that Chrissy and I went back and rewatched because it was a lot of fun. So, you have both of that. Overall, I think I'd give it a 8 out of 10. So that's, 4 out of 5 stars. I had a lot of fun watching this. I think it was really well done. I think it was done by fans of the series. I think it's very obvious when there's so many Easter eggs and little nods to the show, within the characters, within the dialogue. It's not placating in any sort of way. It feels like Bebop. And if you go into it with an open mind, I think you'll be able to pull something good out of it as well. I think that's going to do it for me, everybody. I've been Randy Troy. If you like this content, like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to be doing a couple other videos on the season of Bebop, so stay tuned for that. And I'll catch everybody next time. Later.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This way.
Adult Swim. Adults. Adult Swim. All kids out of the pool.